What if that old, dirty Jefferson nickel hiding in your pocket right now could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars? Most people ignore these worn-out coins, but collectors know a shocking truth. Some rare Jefferson nickels carry hidden errors, low mintages, and mysterious histories that make them incredibly valuable. From wartime silver nickels to rare mint mistakes, these forgotten coins can turn into real treasure overnight. Before you spend your next nickel, take a closer look. You might be holding a small fortune without even realizing it. What if I told you that a dirty, forgotten 1962 D. Jefferson nickel sitting in a jar right now could secretly be worth thousands of dollars, or even life-changing money? Most people would laugh. But collectors? They're searching every single day because a few rare versions of this coin have shocked the world with big money auction results. And here's the crazy part. The difference between a 5-cent coin and a hidden treasure worth thousands can come down to one tiny detail. Let me tell you a story. Back in the early 1960s, the United States Mint was pushing out millions of nickels to keep up with demand. The Denver Mint struck the 1962 D. Jefferson nickel in huge numbers. These coins flooded circulation. They were used, abused, dropped, scratched, and forgotten. Most people saw them as nothing special. But behind the scenes, something unusual was happening. A few of these nickels were struck with subtle errors, tiny imperfections, and rare qualities that collectors today are willing to pay big money for. And those coins? They slipped into circulation unnoticed, ending up in pockets, piggy banks, and old drawers. Now imagine this. Years later, one collector casually examines a dirty 1962 D nickel. At first glance, it looks worthless. But then, he notices something odd in the lettering. A doubling. Slight, but real. That coin, it didn't sell for 5 cents. It sold for over $1,000. Let that sink in. And that's just the beginning. Because here's where it gets even more shocking. Not all 1962 D nickels are equal. In fact, some are worth only face value, while others carry hidden treasure potential. So how do you tell the difference? First, check the date and mint mark. You're looking for 1962 with a small D under the Monticello building on the back. That D means it was minted in Denver. Simple, right? But now comes the part most people miss. Look closely at the surface of the coin. Is it dull and worn? Or does it still have a sharp, clean strike? Because high-grade coins, especially those with strong detail, can jump from a few cents to hundreds of dollars instantly. But wait, it gets better. There are specific error varieties that can turn this coin into serious big money. One of the most exciting is the double die obverse. This happens when the design is stamped slightly off alignment, creating a doubled appearance in the letters or numbers. Look at Liberty and the date, 1962. If you see clear doubling, you could be holding a coin worth $500 to $2,000 or more, depending on condition. Now imagine finding that in your spare change. But don't stop there. Another hidden gem is the repunched mint mark, also known as RPM. This is when the D mint mark was stamped more than once, slightly off position. Under magnification, you might see a shadow or duplicate D. These coins are rare, and collectors love them. Value? Anywhere from $100 to over $800, depending on how strong the error is. Still think it's just pocket change? Here's another twist. Some 1962 D nickels were struck with what collectors call a full steps designation. This is where the steps on the Monticello building are fully visible and sharply defined. Most coins lost these details due to weak strikes or wear. But if you find one with all steps clearly visible, that coin can explode in value. We're talking $1,000, $3,000, even $5,000 plus in top condition. Yes, from a nickel. Now let me shock you again. In a real auction, a high-grade 1962 D. Jefferson nickel with full steps sold for over $6,000. That's not a guess. That's not hype. That's real collector money chasing a rare detail most people never notice. And here's the scary part. You might already have one. Right now, sitting in a drawer, mixed in with other coins, ignored for years. But there's more you need to know. Pay attention to the color. A typical nickel has a dull gray tone, but some rare ones have a brighter, almost silver-like shine, especially if they were well preserved. Also check the rim. Is it smooth and even? Or does it look slightly off, uneven, or doubled? because some minting errors affect the rim, and those can add serious value. Now think about this. Millions of people handle coins every day. They spend them without looking. They ignore them. But collectors? They search for that one coin, the one mistake, the one detail, the one hidden treasure that turns 5 cents into life-changing value. And the 1962 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins hiding in plain sight. So before you skip this video, or forget what you just heard, go check your coins. Look for 1962. Look for the D. Check the lettering. Inspect the mint mark. Examine the steps on Monticello. Because the next coin you pick up might not just be a nickel. What if I told you that a dirty, scratched, completely overlooked 1964 Jefferson nickel sitting in a jar could secretly be worth thousands, maybe even life-changing money? Most people would ignore it. But collectors? They're hunting for it right now. Because the truth is, not all 1964 nickels are equal. And one tiny detail could turn your everyday coin into hidden treasure. Let me take you back for a second. In 1964, something unusual was happening across the United States. Coin shortages were causing panic. People were hoarding silver coins, and the U.S. Mint went into overdrive, producing more coins than ever before. In fact, the 1964 Jefferson nickel became one of the most heavily minted coins in history. But here's where it gets mysterious. With such massive production, mistakes were inevitable. And those mistakes, those tiny, almost invisible errors, are what collectors are willing to pay big money for today. Now imagine this. Millions of nickels flooding into circulation, mixed quality control, rushed minting, and somewhere in that chaos, rare error coins slipped through unnoticed. Fast forward to today, and those same coins are sitting in drawers, jars, and old collections, waiting to be discovered. Here's the shocking part. Some 1964 Jefferson nickels have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and errors. Yes, a coin most people think is worth just 5 cents could actually hold life-changing value. So how do you know if you have one? First, check the date, 1964. That's your starting point. Next, look just to the right of Monticello on the reverse side. You'll find the mint mark. It could be D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Both can be valuable, but certain varieties stand out more. Now here's where things get exciting. One of the most sought-after varieties is the 1964 SMS nickel special mint set. These coins were never meant for general circulation, yet somehow a few escaped. They have an unusual satin-like finish, incredibly sharp details, and almost no contact marks. If you find one of these, you could be looking at thousands of dollars. In fact, one high-grade 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel sold for over $8,000 at auction. That's not pocket change. That's serious big money. But wait, it gets even more interesting. There are also double die errors. This is where parts of the design, especially the lettering, appear doubled due to a minting mistake. Look closely at "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." If you see clear doubling, you might be holding a rare variety worth hundreds or more. And don't overlook repunched mint marks. On some coins, the D mint mark was stamped more than once, slightly off alignment. It's subtle, but collectors love these. Even more shocking? Condition matters a lot. A worn, dirty nickel might still be worth something if it has a rare error. But a high-grade coin with sharp details, full steps on Monticello, and minimal wear? That's where the real hidden treasure lies. Full steps. This is critical. Flip the coin over and look at Monticello. At the base, you'll see steps. If all or most of those steps are clearly visible and not worn away, you could have what's called a full steps nickel. Collectors go crazy for these. A 1964 nickel with full steps in pristine condition has sold for over $20,000. Yes, from 5 cents to life-changing value. Now let's talk about something most people completely ignore: color and surface. Some 1964 nickels have a strange, almost mirror-like shine or an unusual tone. These could indicate special strikes or unique minting conditions. While not always valuable, in combination with other features, they can significantly increase the coin's worth. And here's a story that might surprise you. A collector once found a worn 1964 nickel in a coffee tin. At first glance, it looked completely ordinary. But under magnification, it revealed a double die and partial full steps. That worthless coin ended up selling for over $1,500. That's the kind of hidden treasure we're talking about. Now think about this. How many coins have passed through your hands over the years? How many 1964 nickels have you ignored? Because right now, somewhere out there, someone is about to discover one of these rare coins, and it could change everything. But before you rush off, here's what you need to do. Grab any 1964 Jefferson nickels you can find. Use a magnifying glass or even your phone camera. Check the date, the mint mark, the lettering for doubling, and especially those steps on Monticello. Don't clean the coin, ever. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. And if something looks unusual, different texture, strange shine, odd lettering, don't ignore it. That's exactly how rare coins get overlooked. This is how ordinary people stumble upon big money. What if I told you that a dirty, forgotten 1965 Jefferson nickel, yes, the kind most people wouldn't even pick up off the ground, could secretly be worth hundreds, thousands, or even life-changing value? Sounds impossible, right? But stay with me, because what you're about to hear might make you run and check your coins immediately. Let's go back to 1965, a year that changed U.S. coin history forever. The government had just removed silver from most circulating coins. Panic spread. Collectors and everyday people started hoarding anything that looked old or valuable. The U.S. Mint was under pressure, massive pressure, to produce coins quickly and quietly. And here's where it gets mysterious. In 1965, the Mint made a controversial decision. They removed mint marks from coins entirely. No D, no S, nothing. Why? To stop collectors from hoarding coins from specific mints. But instead of solving the problem, it created a whole new level of confusion and opportunity. Because without mint marks, identifying rare varieties became harder, and some incredibly rare coins slipped into circulation unnoticed. Now imagine millions of nickels being struck under intense pressure, rushed production, experimental dyes. Mistakes were bound to happen. And those mistakes? That's where the hidden treasure begins. Here's the shocking truth. While most 1965 Jefferson nickels are worth just 5 cents, certain rare versions have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, especially in high grades or with unique errors. So how do you know if your coin is one of them? Start with the obvious, the date, 1965. That's your entry ticket. Now look closely at the surface. Most standard nickels from that year have a dull, slightly rough appearance. But if your coin has an unusual shine, almost mirror-like, or extremely sharp details, you might be holding something special. Because here's where things get exciting. There are rare 1965 special mint set nickels, known as SMS coins. These were never meant for everyday circulation, yet somehow, a few made their way out into the wild. They have a smooth, satin-like finish, razor-sharp details, and almost no wear. One of these rare 1965 SMS Jefferson nickels sold for over $4,000. That's not just big money. That's life-changing value for a coin most people ignore. But wait, it gets even more intense. Let's talk about errors. One of the most valuable errors to look for is the doubled die. Check the front of the coin carefully, especially the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If you see clear doubling in the letters or numbers, you could be holding a rare piece worth hundreds, sometimes over $1,000 depending on condition. And here's another shocker. Off-center strikes. This is when the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting, leaving part of the design missing. If your 1965 nickel looks slightly cut off or misaligned, don't dismiss it. That mistake could be worth serious hidden treasure. Some off-center nickels have sold for $200 to $800 or more. Now let me tell you something most collectors overlook. The rim. Yes, the rim of your coin could reveal everything. A normal coin has a clean, even rim. But if you see irregularities, like a broad strike where the rim looks stretched or missing, that's a rare mint error. These are highly collectible and can fetch hundreds of dollars depending on severity. And here's where things get really exciting again. Full steps. Flip your coin over and look at Monticello. At the bottom, you'll see steps. Most circulated coins have worn, faded steps. But if you can clearly see 5 or 6 full steps, sharp and uninterrupted, you might have a full steps nickel. Collectors love these. A high-grade 1965 Jefferson nickel with full steps can sell for $1,000 or more. Combine that with an error or SMS finish. Now you're talking about serious big money. Let me share a real story that might change how you look at coins forever. A collector once found a dull, dirty 1965 nickel in a roll from the bank. It looked completely average, nothing special. But under magnification, it revealed a subtle double die and nearly full steps on Monticello. That coin ended up selling for over $1,200. From 5 cents to life-changing value. Now stop and think for a second. How many times have you handled a 1965 nickel? How many did you ignore, spend, or toss aside? Because right now, somewhere in the world, one of these rare coins is still out there, hiding in plain sight. And it could be in your pocket, your drawer, your old coin jar.